All right, let's talk about something huge. If you've ever felt like your trading is kind of just a shot in the dark, more of a gamble than a real business, then you are in the right place. We are going to talk about how to turn that chaos into real clarity by setting powerful goals that actually work. So let's start with a scene that's probably all too familiar. It's that feeling of trading without a map, right? You're making moves based on a gut feeling or maybe a bit of fear, and it just leads to these wild swings and, yeah, some pretty costly mistakes. It's a trap, and honestly, almost all of us have been there.
I bet this sounds familiar, right? This is where so many traders start. And look, it's a great dream to have. But as a goal, it's kind of useless. It gives you no direction, no plan, and you have no way of knowing if you're actually getting any closer. It's basically a perfect recipe for frustration.
And this right here, this shows you the massive difference. It's the shift from just wishing for something to actually planning for it. Over on the left, you've got these vague, fuzzy hopes. But look at the right. Every single one of those is a concrete, actionable target you can work toward. It's the difference between fumbling around in the dark and walking down a brightly lit path. Okay, so how do we build that path? Well, the answer is a framework that professionals in literally every field use, and we're going to adapt it for trading. We're talking about the SMART framework. Think of it as your compass. It's the tool that turns those fuzzy wishes into a real battle plan. So here they are, the 5 pillars of our compass: specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. Every single one of these is absolutely crucial. When you put them all together, you create goals that aren't just ambitious, they're actually intelligent. So let's break them down. First up, specific. This is all about getting crystal clear. Make more money is not a goal, it's a daydream. A specific goal forces you to define what success actually looks like. It's about asking, what exactly am I trying to do here? Next, we've got measurable. And look, this one is completely non-negotiable. If you can't measure it, you can't manage it. Simple as that. This is where you put numbers on your goal. How will you know when you've done it? Things like win rate or profit factor give you cold, hard data so you can see if you're on track. All right, now for a big reality check. Achievable. It is so easy to see the crazy hype online and think you should be doubling your account every month. But setting a goal like that just sets you up to take insane risks. Your goals need to stretch you, for sure, but they shouldn't be designed to break you. And this chart really puts that into perspective. I mean, just look at this. Those unrealistic goals are way, way out of line with what the pros are actually aiming for. A lot of top-tier traders and funds are targeting a consistent 10 to 20% a year. Heck, the S&P 500 itself averages around 10%. Grounding your expectations in reality is one of the biggest keys to survival. Next up is R for relevant. This is your why. Why are you even doing this? Your trading goals have to plug into the bigger picture of your life. Is this about some extra income? A down payment on a house? Retirement? When your trading has a real purpose behind it, your motivation becomes almost unbreakable. And finally, T for time-bound. A goal without a deadline is just a dream. It's like saying, oh, I'll get to it someday. Well, someday isn't a day of the week. Slapping a deadline on it like by the end of the quarter creates urgency. It turns a passive wish into an active chase. Okay, so we've got the SMART framework down pat. That's huge. But if we really want to build a trading career that lasts, we have to think bigger than just the dollar signs. Financial success is really just the outcome of doing a lot of other things right. It's time to build a more complete, three-dimensional strategy. Think of it like a three-legged stool. You need all 3 of these pillars for your trading plan to be stable. You've got your financial goals, that's the what. Then you've got your skill-based goals, that's the how you're going to get it done. And finally, the process-oriented goals, that's the discipline that keeps the whole thing from falling apart. So let's start with the one we all think about first, financial goals. These are your targets, your bottom line. Things like hitting a certain profit number each month or growing your capital by a specific percentage. This is the result you're aiming for. But those results don't just magically happen, right? You need the skills to make them a reality. That's where Pillar 2 comes in, skill-based goals. This is all about getting better at the craft of trading, mastering a chart pattern, learning a new indicator. These are the skills that will actually produce those financial results you want. But even if you have the goals and the skills, you need discipline. And that brings us to Pillar 3, process-oriented goals. These are all about building winning habits. Did you stick to your rules today? Did you journal every single trade? This is the stuff that builds the consistency you need to succeed in the long run. Now, here's a super important point. You don't just set these goals, carve them in stone, and then walk away. The market changes constantly, and so will you. Your goals have to be a living, breathing part of your process, something you're always checking in on and adjusting.
This slide shows you the rhythm of a pro trader. It's a constant feedback loop. You set your SMART goals, you execute your plan and track everything. Then, and this is key, you schedule regular reviews to see what's working and what's not. Then you adapt and you refine. This cycle is what separates the amateurs from the pros. So when you do those reviews, what are you even looking at? Here are some of the heavy hitters. Your profit factor tells you how efficient your winners are. Your largest drawdown shows you the real risk in your strategy. And my personal favorite, rule violations. That's a direct measurement of your discipline. This is the hard data that should be guiding your next move. And let me leave you with this. Flexibility is your superpower here. It's not a weakness. If the data is telling you that a goal is just not realistic or that a strategy isn't working, you have to adapt. But, and this is so important, you make those changes based on data and metrics, not because you had a bad day or you're feeling frustrated. So we'll end with a challenge. Knowing all this stuff is great, but applying it is where the magic happens. Based on everything we just covered, what is the one specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound goal that you are going to set for yourself right now?